Well, it's me again. You're welcome. Charlie Greer podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment. If you want to support the channel, it's in the description. Yeah, I'm still dealing with this flu. So let's do this. Self-realization. I mean, not to get too deep on anybody, but yeah, self-realization. Uh, Being self-realized. Are you even self-aware? Even you got to be self-aware. I mean, most people aren't. Most people will never. No, nah, they'll claim a lot of things, and honestly, they'll claim stuff they don't even know. We're all guilty of things, and I'm including myself as far as like getting your self worth from some kind of, you know, product or thing or what people think, and this, these out. It's all bullshit. Um, and yeah, I get it. You're happy. There's people. Oh, I got the new comic book. I'm happy. But does it define you? Do you get your self worth and self realization from other things? Are people thinking like something's in the sky? It's gonna no, 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 no. It's within you. I mean, read the ancient texts. Nobody in the sky is gonna. Everything you need is within you. Matter of fact, I was watching something. They're saying that people don't. You don't learn anything. You just unlock it, which means you've already know it, kind of thing. I mean, I don't know. That would be cool if you could just unlock the knowledge of the universe and hey, I know all this. And I've known, growing up in a small town and my grandparents being really religious and open-minded and accepting and loving of others. Um, Granted, you got to have your barriers around, but how I discovered self-realization in Los Angeles, there's a self-realization center, which I'd been there forever and didn't know. Um, and a guy, a Hindu, kind of a guru, the Paramahansa Yogananda, he started the Self Realization Center, I think I'm not sure, maybe the 30s, but it's on top of Mount Washington. It's beautiful. If you're in the Los Angeles area, go to the Self Realization Center. Um, they got grounds and gardens, and you can go into there, and they have a meditation thing, and this, that, and the other. And one time a year, you can go upstairs and um, view where the Paramahansa Yogananda like lived, and it's open to every religion. It's not like people kind of get it like mixed up that it's some kind. No, it's open to all religions. You can be whatever you want. And I got turned on to it by well, I had heard about the Beatles and the Beach Boys and this I'd heard about the Yogananda, but I never Elvis. I'd heard being an Elvis fan, I knew like what is he. And supposedly Elvis was up there a lot. Like it was one of his favorite places to go. There's one in Mount Washington, and then there's one in like Bel Air, like the Lake Shrine. And basically, it's a place to meditate, contemplate, clear your mind. But I initially found it through a client of mine. I taught vocal lessons, and uh, you want to take me to lunch, and this, that, and the other. And one of them was like, "Hey, I want to take you to the. If you ever went to the Self Realization Center on Mount Washington?" I was like, "No." On Saturday, I'm picking you up. We're going. So we went, and I immediately kind of like it was so peaceful. In LA, you need a place just like and again, it's beautiful up there. There's monks, and you're not going to think that it ain't like a monk you would think. I mean, the first time one of the first times I was there, I got there early, and they were opening the gate, and one of the people they were like, "Oh, do you mind holding the gate for the female monks. They're going to come out. And I was like, sure. So this big gate, and I held it. Here comes these. They look like models. I mean, they weren't like, I thought monks, these women monks would be these old kind of decrepit. No, they look like runway models. And also the Paramahansa Yogananda wrote a book, Autobiography of a Yogi. Get it, read it. It's amazing. Steve Jobs, that's what he carried around. That's what he was telling. George Harrison too. He would keep stacks of them, and he would have friends over, and someone who was like kind of in a rough spot in their life, he'd give them the Paramahansa Yogananda book, Autobiography of a Yogi. And what surprised me about the book and then that philosophy or whatever, it's just the humor. Like, it's not as serious as you think. It's his guru, your Texwar or whatever his name was, funny, man. I mean, and they were what's called a householder, like they didn't start as a holy man. Most of them worked on the railroads in India, and then finally found their path to enlightenment and started their own, started teaching. But what really resonated with me, which I do to this day, because I'm kind of impatient and I can't sit in that lotus. Like, I'm 6'2". I mean, I've never been able to get in that position. And if I do, it's just like pain, So I would do this like sitting chair meditation. And then that to me, again, for me to sit. So reading the Autobiography of a Yogi, I would, they get up in the morning with nothing on their belly, maybe a little bit of coffee and maybe a little bit of fruit, and then they'd walk the Ganges. The Ganges is the river in India, and they do this like meditative walk, which is not like you're in a, again, people think that it's not, you're just clearing your mind. Some days it's all rainbows and lollipops and this, that, and the other, and then some days you got to flush the toilet, and you got to get that stuff out and vent. Every day is kind of different. And but yeah, this was around 2010, maybe 2011, when I started really like doing it every day, like getting up, clearing my mind of thoughts, the past, whatever, this, that, and the other, and walking, getting up and walking. And I can't tell you how much it's helped. I mean, life's an arduous task, Therefore, we need a lot of blessings, and it also raised my IQ. Like, I just got, I mean, I shouldn't say that. I'm not smarter, but then again, more like understanding and open to different thoughts and ways. But you have to realize that it's up to you, not anybody else. I mean, we think that, oh, someone's going to do this and I need to go to college, and which all is good. But without your inner spark, without that, no one's going to discover you until you discover yourself. If you're sitting around waiting for something to, it ain't going to happen. You got to get up and make that happen for yourself. People want to be inspired. They don't want to, a lot of people are insecure. They won't admit it. Oh, no, not me. Yeah, you are. We all are. Again, when I'm saying this stuff, I'm not excluding myself. I mean, we all have gifts. We all have problems. We're this, that, and the other, So you have to realize, like, what do you even know what you like? Like, some people, they like, well, I mean, I kind of, you probably like stuff because a friend liked it, and you just don't. I mean, what do you really pull away all those onion layers, and just what are you really into? What do you want to do? And are you doing it? Maybe so. Maybe not. But it's up to the individual to find that peace, that happiness, that the harmony and the balance. Like we're all guilty of, like, you might even be in a good mood, and then someone cut you off in traffic, and then you get to the store, and then all of a sudden you're upset and frustrated, mad about what others have done to you. I mean, you can't get away from it, right? Especially in this day and age, like people are just looking for something to. And some people get their happiness from their aggravation, and they're looking for something to be pissed about. A lot of people are like that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I have heard this around, like, I don't trust people that are happy. Like, what? Who? That's it. That shows your personality defects. Projecting onto other. Like, how stupid do you have to be to think that, oh, well, everybody's got to think like, no. That's a average to low IQ thought right there. Well, I like this, I like that. There's people, especially me being an artist or a musician. There's people are just closed minded. Like, gotta like this. I like this stuff. I like the people that like that. That's it. Like it, you know, education. Like, oh, I went here, you went there. It's just never ending. All the while thinking that they're smart and I'm doing the right. You got to go within. The temple of God is in you, not up in the sky. You're not going to find anything like in the cloud. Like, it ain't going to happen. It's within you. Your body is the temple. Your mind. You don't need anybody else. And again, a lot of people can't even. I've had friends where they just do not like to be by themselves. They just can't take it. I mean, every time I went over their house, there's a room full of people. It's just, dude, how can you do that? I mean, there's a time and place for everything, but uh, you know, you need some time to contemplate, to clear your mind. Think about what you're going to do, what you want to do. And the moment is now. Like any moment in life, you can change. I don't care how bad it is. You have to, people, no, I need money, or I need, no, or I'm going to wait till, a lot of times people make that mistake. Like, say if they're going on vacation, they're like, planning, and I'm this, that, and that's all they're talking about. Oh, we get there, we're going to go to Hawaii or whatever for 7 days. And then they get there and they are miserable, end up watching TV in the room. Not everybody, but it's up to you. The self-realization, like, what do you want to do? What do you need to clear your mind of? Uh, and it's a continuous thing. It's not like you're like, well, see, I'm done. No, it's like every day you got to get up and like tie your shoes, and you'll be a happier person, open minded enough not to be a dumbass. Because we all can be that dumbass. I mean, we all can lose our temper. We all can, like, be grumpy. One thing that helped me with my self-realization is, we all wake up on that bad side of the bed. You can go to bed at night and, hey, it's all good. For some reason, you wake up that morning and it's just like, something ain't right. There's a tension in my head. If you go down that road, it's just going to get worse. So that's one of the best things about my walking meditation and the self-realization, is how to flip that, turn that frown upside down. And I kind of always, grew up, my grandparents were, they wouldn't have you, they were grateful for everything. And they, um, happy people, simple. They didn't have that much. They didn't need that much. And so I'm glad that I have that, because people don't have, they just think that, like, well, my dad was this and he treated me, and my mother was, so I had to. We've all got that. You got to work through that shit. You know what I mean? And you'll be a better person for it. Because if not, again, we all do stupid stuff. You'll just, for one, the worst thing is like formulating what you're about to say when people, can you talk to people? Can you have a conversation? Do you interrupt people? Do you stick your nose in stuff that you have no idea, you know, just causing misery and pain? Be like, what? Like, you're not self aware. Are you self aware? How people perceive you? Be like, I don't give a shit what people think. And I honestly, I don't. Whatever other people say about me and think about me is none of my business. Let them do what they're going to do. But I'm not, that's not part of my personality where it's like, well, I'm just going to make sure I'm going to get over on them before they can. I'm not like that. I've always been able to also just drop me anywhere, man. You can like put me in a cab in some place I don't even know the language, and I'm gonna do good. I'm gonna, yeah. I've always been able to do that. I don't have any of that fear of like, well, who I'm gonna. Matter of fact, I do better sometimes in a situation that's harder. You know, my last 6 years in Los Angeles, I lived in the neighborhood Arcadia, which is a Chinese neighborhood. Uh, and I learned a lot from the Chinese, man. I mean, granted, it took a while. You know, like I'm taller than they are, and I just kind of I got tattoos and um, but I learned a lot and had a lot of fun and humor. Being up in the morning, walking in the park, I got to meet all the little Chinese happy dancers and the sword dudes and the Tai Chi guys and the fan fighters and all this and that, and their harmony and balance and dedication to that. Like they were out there early in the morning. Like again, if you don't, you wouldn't see them unless you got to be up in the morning to. And the music and and again, a lot of these people don't have anything. And granted, China Arcadia has a nice area. I mean, it's clean. There's rich people, and I lived in a Chinese neighborhood. I was surrounded everywhere. And eventually, like they love me. You know, they figure out you're a good person. And most of my conversations during the day, if I was out and about, I'm talking to these old Chinese. And it blew my mind how they were almost like my grandparents, like doing their own gardening and their own this, that, and they could make anything. They're not going to go. And some of these old Chinese ladies, they would like be salting fish outside and, on their driveway. And I think that's amazing. I like doing like gardening and growing. And I had my own little garden in Arcadia. And speaking of like the balance and the harmony, so I wanted to grow tomatoes. So I went and got, seeds and the pots and the soil and this, that, and the other, and set up tape, I had my own little garden thing. And for months, watering them, fighting with the caterpillars and the birds and the squirrels. So the night before, I was like, look, in the morning, I will harvest these tomatoes. I'll wait off trying one of them, which I shouldn't have. I should have known, because someone was saying like, you better take half of them now. And in the morning, I went out there and it looked like a just tomato bat, blood bat, just the squirrels and the bird. They had literally all the tomatoes. I think it was like 4 months of everyday watering and doing this stuff and not to get any kind of reward. Like my backyard, you would not believe how many tomato, and just like, what? How did they know? And why did they do this? And as I'm looking at their squirrels eating my tomatoes, and like even there was something, at least they poke a hole, or they got them all. So instead of like freaking out, losing my shit, I used that as a lesson. I was like, oh, I'm grateful to have this knowledge. I'll never do this again. Matter of fact, I don't want to grow any tomatoes. You know what I mean? Like, hey, okay, I get it. But I didn't let it affect me. The way I'm looking at it is, you know what? I did these squirrels and birds and whoever solid. You know, they it's again the balance. Like, okay, so I didn't get to eat. Could I have eaten all those tomatoes? They only last so long. So I did nature a favor. You know, I fed the neighborhood, the squirrels and the birds and the caterpillars and the whatever else. And the Chinese were a lot of my clients were Chinese, uh, Asian, and some of them would not speak English that well, so they would bring like usually a family member, and I would as an interpreter. Because look, music is just a universal, language. I taught a universal wisdom that could be applied to any genre. Again, you're just singing, so it could be anything you're singing. I mean, you could, and it was like stretching, vocal warm ups. I deliberately my vocal warm up. It was in 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody can count to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just so I could do, you know, I wanted everybody to learn what I had learned. It helped me. So if it can help you, I mean, me, it could help you. I'm not saying I'm the best. But it was gratifying to see people learn and go after their dreams and actually start doing things. I had one client, he wanted to sing like a kind of rap soulful thing when he started. I taught him a few techniques. And then again, a lot of it's repetition. Just do it over. Oh, come on, do it, do it, do it. He found out he had this like great projection. Like he could like really belt it out. He didn't know, He got teary-eyed. And it changed his life. He ended up being in like a rock band. And he wasn't even into rock. I remember he's like, man, I've never listened to rock music. I'm all into Nate Dogg and this, that. Who could I start? I go, man, the Ramones. Just start with the Ramones. And then we'll go. And he loved the Ramones. He's like, how do I not know? And I'm like, how do you not know about the Ramones? I mean, in my mind, Joey Ramone is one of like the best singers ever. Like he's a crooner. He's a punk rock. He's everything. And I love the way he, just his whole, he just had to make it happen. And you come on, look at Joey Ramone. He just had to become his own Elvis, and he did. And that doesn't, and some people are literally tone deaf. You can be, it doesn't matter, man. You can be the most tone deaf dude and be the biggest rock star. Hence Bob Dylan. He is tone deaf, man. He ain't gonna, technically he's doing everything wrong, but he's Bob Dylan. He learned to use that. Like, hey, I got to work with what I got. And that's his balance. A lot of the 80s hair band guys are tone deaf. I mean, they can hold a tune a bit, but they're not, David Lee Roth and the Vince Neil, the Motley Crues they're not technically, but it's the best shit you've ever heard. I mean, and honestly, if you're too technical, nobody likes that. Nobody wants to be an opera singer, But a lot of these universal wisdoms that I learned from my grandparents, who are basically a farm community type thing. Like both my grandparents, they were basically farmers. And if they, my great grandfather was a preacher, but he still had to farm to make it, matter of fact, my father was the first person to go to the university in our family. And that was in the 60s. Everybody else were like farmers and, that's what they did. Now, granted, my grandfather had a restaurant. But that's the you got to do what you got to do. And again, I'm from like a small town of like 2,000 people in Tennessee, and then meeting the Chinese in Arcadia. A lot of them were from small little villages, And they had to work hard. I mean, just think of the stuff they have to deal with to this day. People think of like, oh, they want to name a country, and it ain't the people, man. It's the governments and the this, that, and the other. The people are good people. They want you to think that all these, they want us all to hate each other. Basically, that's what they want. The last thing they want is us, commiserating and going, hey, what, huh? What did they've been teaching? No, they don't want that. They want all of us to think that, they're this and they're this, in the people. I mean, the power is in the people. That's another thing they don't want you to know, that it's the illusion of power. They're like, well, we have armies and we have this. It's like full of people that you pay. If you take that money away or you open some minds, what's going to happen? Do you read history? Because through history, every 300 or 400 years, there's some kind of revolution. Matter of fact, we're due. We're overdue. The people will they'll storm castles. There's not a big enough sea to stop these people. And if they all got together, you're going to mess with, it ain't going to be good. Inherently, I think people are good. I don't believe that, okay, since they're from this place, or there's some kind of what their background is, or they're this, they're that, they're going to be, nope. I don't believe that. I can't, no. People are honestly, they're they're kind of the same. I mean, different languages and stuff, but when you get to know people and the sense of humor and we all want the same things. We all breathe the same air. It gets pretty simple. You want to be able to make a living. You want your kids to do good. You want a house. You want a car. You want to be able to start a bit, this, that, and the other. Granted, there are evil people in the world and people with mental illness, but we're pretty much the same. There aren't, and quite honestly, none of us have any control over who we are. You're just dropped in, doink, here I am. Like, you can't control your name. You're nothing. So then you're supposed to hate people for, oh, hey, no. No. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Trying to just lump some people together and they're gonna don't come at me with that bullshit. Everybody has something to offer. And we all have our different talents, and then they try to say diversity, but it's just one group of, that ain't diversity, man. Diversity means including everybody, not just, well, this one group was held back, so now we're just going to do that. No, that's surely they know better, but I don't know. Maybe they're getting paid to spread this propaganda. Self-awareness, self-realization. Be aware of what you're doing within the world. Are you aware? Do you know there, reaction, action leads to reaction. Is it just within that little circle of friend where you can show well, that's just me. See, I'm a Capricorn and I didn't, whatever it is. They kind of think that they can, that's just how it is and people need to accept. And you're a dumbass. A fool. And I include myself. We're all guilty of, no one's perfect. And we all have bad days and this, that, and the other thing. But self-realization within you, what are you Get away with all these abstract thoughts, because most people are living their life and their self-worth through what others say about them. You gotta think, like, what do you think about yourself? Forget about what everybody else thinks. You'd be like, man, I like me. I mean, that's where you need to be. Pardon me. That's where you need to be. And go from there. Nobody's gonna, and again, if they are, because there are groups of people that just kind of use cronyism and favoritism and nepotism, this and that. You're only going to get so far. And that don't last forever. Especially if you take someone out of that and they have to live like in the real world where they can't exist. And they start blaming others, and a lot of that going on. So you have to be self-aware of yourself, self-realization. Again, if you're in Los Angeles, go to the Self-Realization Center on Mount Washington or the Lake Shrine in like Bel Air. Go buy the Paramahansa Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi. It's amazing. I used to read it over and over, and there's so much crazy shit in it. And some of it, I don't even know if I believe. I mean, there's some stories in there like, are you kidding me? But overall, it's well worth the read. And then look into who are succeeding in using this same principle. It's just damn near everybody that's doing something. Steve Jobs, again, with Apple, he was a devotee of the Paramahansa Yogananda. So yeah, check it out. Thanks for listening. I love y'all. Be blessed. And I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.